here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right. You are listening to Hour 2 here of the Todd Huff Show. It's good to be here. Thank you for joining us. Hope you had a nice weekend. We did. It's good to be back at it here this week, as it's now convention week for the Democrat Party. And yes, it is crazy time here as we move towards the election. I don't know if you followed closely. We talked about this last week. The speakers at the convention, the Democrat convention here, where they will officially nominate Joe Biden, where they officially will, virtually, maybe virtually is the better way of saying this, but they will virtually go through the process of bringing a vast array of candidates onto the stage to tell us how great Joe Biden is. Of course, some of these candidates, I'm not even sure really want to endorse Joe Biden. Candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's been given, according to reports, 60 seconds, which I think is about 59 and a half seconds too long if they want to appeal to people who are not radical anti-American socialists. That's what I think. 59 and a half seconds too long when they give her 60 seconds. But underneath all of this, I'm telling you, this is the time when they're trying to unify the party. This is the beginning of the final phase of this process. So they've had a virtual candidate in Joe Biden. He's ran a virtual campaign. He's been virtually absent from an actual campaign. He's been, it's simulated. All this is simulated. They've successfully gotten into the month of August. They've successfully gotten to the convention without really having to put their guy out there. And those times that they do put him out there, he says things such as, if you don't vote for Biden over Trump, you ain't black. He says things such as, unlike the African American community, the Latino community is incredibly diverse. Incredibly diverse. The black community, it's monolithic, he's saying. It's just one vote. If I get one black to support me, Biden says I can get every single black voter in America to support me. That's basically what Biden is saying there. And these are the sorts of things that happen when he goes out. These are the sorts of things that happen. He said that twice in one day, by the way. Of course, they want to say that, we misunderstood him or blah, 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 whatever. So, this is the time when the party is supposed to be unified. This is the time when they come together to make this final push towards getting everyone who identifies as a Democrat to vote in the November election, to cast that vote for Joe Biden and for other Democrats. Democrats running for the House of Representatives, Democrats running for Senate, Democrats running for governor and everything else, state representative, we've got some news on that as well. But this is an interesting problem the Democrat Party has. Fox News. Now, we've talked about this. None of this is earth-shattering news in the sense that it's new, but it's actually starting to materialize. Democratic Convention sees party unity mission. Keep restive Bernie Sanders supporters from blowing this. And this has been the problem from the beginning. Well, yeah, it has been from the beginning. So again, in a nutshell, we have the same sort of, I say, problem or issue or challenge or whatever in the Democrat Party that we have within the Republican Party, and that is this. There is a battle for control of the party. There's a battle for control. Like in the Republican Party, you have the establishment types, you have the country club Republicans, the Democrat light version of Republicans, probably the never Trump version of, not all of them, but a good chunk of those folks are just, in that crowd. They'll vote Republican, but there's not much difference between their ideal candidate and the ideal candidate of the establishment Democrats. Big government is the answer, just not quite as big as what the radical left or the Democrat Party wants. So there's the establishment Republicans. They want someone in office who's going to do what's been done by politicians for a long time, and that's say the right things, but yet when it comes to the actions being taken, the actions lead to more government, more spending, less liberty, and all those sorts of things. And they can argue intellectually as to why that's a good thing. Of course, they can't do it in a logical sense. They've got to do it in some convoluted and impossible to follow sort of line of thinking. But yet they do this amongst themselves, and they think that they're so smart and intelligent. And, in some degree, to some degree, the difference between the establishment Republicans and the establishment Democrats is really the difference between, say, a Yankees fan and a Red Sox fan. Meaning they're both playing the same sport, but one just prefers one team, the other prefers another. And oftentimes it's because, they were raised Republicans, just like you were raised to be a Yankees fan or you're raised to be a Red Sox fan or whatever. Other folks were raised to be Democrats. But on the vast majority of issues, there's not a lot of difference. There's not a lot of difference. There's a lot of, in fact, agreement between the two sides of this story, this narrative. And then, but within the Republican Party, there's the establishment and there's the conservatives. The conservative, limited government, libertarian crowd. Now, there's always disagreements even between these factions, but in a nutshell, there's the limited government crowd. There's a part of the crowd that says, look, what we've been doing is not working. This is me, by the way. What we've been doing violates the foundational principles of this nation. Liberty and freedom and the constitutional framework, the bedrock of this society, have been abandoned. We've been moving away from the power of the individual and moving towards the power of the state, the power of the government. We've been spending more money, and of course, more money is never enough, so they want even more money than that. It's bankrupting this country financially, morally. We've seen common sense go out the window. We've seen our legal system, there's a much needed tort reform in this country, which never even really gets talked about because we're having this, such a diametrically opposed battle between worldviews, the radical left and their socialist agenda, those that are, happy with just moderate liberalism, moderate to even extreme liberalism before we even get to the socialist nonsense. Government solves all problems crowd, which of course there's people in both the Republican and Democrat Party who embrace that. And so there's this battle for control of the Republican Party between the establishment types and the limited government types. And then in the Democrat Party, same sort of struggle, except for it's between two different groups. It's the establishment types on the Democrat side, which are liberals, but they're not complete. I would say I think that they agree with the socialists by and large, but they're not prepared to say that. They know that doesn't really win national elections. Although I will say this, they do realize, surprisingly, that it's doing better in 2020 than it did in 2016. Now, this is a very dynamic situation, and that could change tomorrow afternoon, or heck, this afternoon, depending upon who the spokesperson is for the party, some of the crazy things, how many crazy things, and to what degree of crazy we're talking about. Is there a concerted effort? Do we really have someone who can communicate in an effective way to demolish the radical left? I'm talking about the socialist left, or all the people that are communicators, the people who are hip and cool. Are they on the side of this? And that's really what we have today, right? We have people that are hip and cool and, telling us, kind of having social influence over certain segments of our population, telling us how great these ideas are and how terrible other people are, in particular, the limited government conservative types. And so there's a battle for control of the Democrat Party as well. Some want to take it further socialist, like Bernie, like AOC, like Rashida Tlaib, like Ayanna Pressley, like Ilhan Omar, right? Some want to take this full tilt socialist. Others, the more I don't say conservative type, but the more establishment type, don't want to go that far. The professional politicians, they're not really looking for tremendous ideological change. They just want to see us moving towards giving them more power, bigger budgets, more money, that sort of thing. Of course, it ends up in the same place as socialism, but it just doesn't get there at the same rate. You just kind of wake up. It's like the boiling water with the frog. That analogy. You can put a frog in a pot of water at room temperature and then slowly begin to boil it, with the idea being that degree by degree the change is less obvious to the frog, versus you boil a pot of water and throw a frog in there, assuming the frog survives the initial stress, the initial shock, the initial temperature of the boiling water. The immediate response is to jump directly out of there to get to safety. And so that's what the socialist left says, hey, let's just jump head first into this stuff. And the establishment types are saying, let's take this step by step. And so there's a battle. There's a battle for control of the party. And so Democrats are worried about this. Democrats are worried about this as this comes to a head in the convention. And this is what this article says in part here. And I'm going to take a break in just a moment. But it says, for a party that endured a wide-open presidential primary with more than 24 candidates ranging from the left to the middle, I dispute that, but nonetheless, and with the wounds of disunity from 2016 still healing, achieving party unity at this week's Democratic National Convention is a top priority. And Democrats are intent on making sure history doesn't repeat itself. 4 years ago, after a divisive primary battle, populist champion Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont endorsed presumptive nominee Hillary Clinton, but there was plenty of bad blood at that summer's Democratic convention, as there should have been. Look, Hillary was going to win that thing, but it wasn't just because that's what the Democrat voter wanted. It's what the superdelegate wanted. It's what the party establishment wanted. It's what the party elites and the donors wanted. They couldn't get behind. They knew Bernie, or they thought. They probably were right, but who knows? They thought that Bernie would get them annihilated in 2016. And so they fed debate questions to Hillary. The superdelegates back then had much more authority than they do today, although they still have some degree of authority. But they had decided who the pick was going to be long before the pick was made officially. So, anyway, we'll talk more about this as we get back. I got to take a time out. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I am your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Looking to make a conservative, not bitter fashion statement? Check out our apparel online, including brand new items at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
Are you one of the growing number of Hoosiers who are concerned about higher taxes, ever-increasing spending, and massive debt in Indiana? So am I. I'm Donald Rainwater, and I'm the Libertarian candidate for governor here in the state of Indiana. As your governor, I'll work to reduce the size of state government, protect your individual rights, and keep more of your money in your pocket. I believe every Hoosier is essential. I also believe that every Hoosier has equal protection under the law to operate their business, attend religious observations, and provide an income for their household, even in a crisis. I believe that all Hoosier businesses provide the necessities of life to their owners and employees. As your governor, I will safeguard your rights to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness as defined by you, not the government. To learn more, go to rainwaterforindiana.com. In Indiana, we need better government, not bigger government. And on November 3rd, I need your vote. My name's Donald Rainwater, and I approve this message, paid for by Rainwater for Indiana.
If you own a rental property, you know the hassles of marketing, renting, collecting, and the handling of maintenance and repairs. One call to Zuluscape can put an end to your property management headaches. Zuluscape has over 20 years of experience helping landlords throughout central Indiana and taking the stress out of owning a rental. From A to Z, let Zuluscape handle it all so you can enjoy owning a rental instead of hating being a landlord. Give us a call at 317-663-8485 or visit our website at zuluscape.com.
Ever wondered what shooting a real machine gun feels like? At Indy Trading Post, you can have an awesome and safe shooting experience in our family-friendly environment. Firing a weapon on full auto is something you will always remember. Schedule some range time today and let Indy Trading Post give you the real machine gun shooting experience. We guarantee you'll have a blast. Give us a call at 317-782-4867 or schedule your range time at fullautoindy.com.
Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that kills more people than drunk driving. In fact, radon is the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Is radon threatening the health of your family? Call Radon Environmental at 317-843-0804. Radon Environmental specializes in radon testing and mitigation. The process is quick, easy, and worth it. Radon Environmental wants to make sure your family's health is not at risk. Call 317-843-0804.
Need to refresh or renovate your commercial space? Call Interior Construction Services today. Providing the highest level of quality construction at a competitive price, our service-minded team is here to deliver the detail-oriented environment you're looking to create on time and on budget. Call us at 317-991-4660 or visit us online at interiorconstruct.com. Interior Construction Services. Progressive, productive, professional.
Outside of the federal government, no one likes losing money. Any amount of money, not just the $6 billion the State Department lost. And what makes losing money worse is knowing that we could have done something to stop it. Well, if you have an inefficient furnace, a toilet that won't stop running, or a leaky faucet, you can do something about it. You can call the good folks at Economy Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. Call 317-831-5279 or visit economyheatingandair.com.
The printing industry has changed a lot since we opened for business in 1931, but what our clients expect from us really hasn't changed. Quality print, fast turnaround, and competitive prices. We've learned a lot at Moeller Printing over 86 years and 3 generations. Why not put that experience to work for you? Call 317-353-2224 and mention discount code RADIO to receive 10% off your first order. Call Moeller Printing at 317-353-2224.
Welcome back again. This is not supposed to be this way. Not supposed to be this way at all. It was this way in 2016. They had 4 years to fix this problem, and yet they find themselves potentially at the same crossroads yet again, talking about the Democrat Party and their concerns of having a splinter group, the radical left, not support their candidate, not get behind this. So, fast forward 4 years, this is from 2016, reading from this article at Fox News, and once again the left fell short, meaning the radical left, the socialist left, as progressive standard bearers Sanders and Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts were defeated in the primaries by more moderate former Vice President Joe Biden. Now, pause there. Now, you could say that. I mean, we've seen that that's kind of the standard bit of wisdom here, that Joe Biden is the moderate. I mean, that's what they want to position him as. Joe Biden falls in the middle of the road. But Joe Biden has embraced, in fact, the entire Democratic debate stage in 2020 moved radically to the left as compared to what it was in 2016. In 2016, we had one socialist on the stage named Bernie Sanders. Today, the Democrat, Bernie Sanders was out. Bernie Sanders was being, other people were more like Bernie Sanders than Bernie Sanders was. He was not able, even though he was still in some ways, the number one choice for a while. He was the number one choice. In fact, I remember seeing on 538 Nate Silver's group making these projections and predictions, the statistical likelihood of Bernie Sanders being the nominee. It was over half. It was maybe 60-some% at one point. In fact, my favorite was when no one was the presumptive nominee. Like, literally, no one was the projected winner of the Democrat, well, up until a brokered convention. Remember that? We were talking about that. They avoided that in a lot of ways because of COVID. But mostly because the Democrats, after South Carolina, the party brokers, they said, we're not having a repeat of 2016. We want to get this problem behind us. We want to get out in front of this thing. We want to make sure that candidates who could, detract from the moderate, it's not moderate, but what they would call moderate, the liberal wing, the establishment wing of the Democrat Party, we want to give them only one choice. We want to have that vote coalesce around a candidate. And based upon how Biden did in South Carolina, they chose Biden to be that candidate. They call up Pete Buttigieg. They call up Amy Klobuchar, and they say, look, drop out of the race. You'll be given, they both are speaking at the convention, which you could say, yeah, that should be done anyway. But are all the candidates who were running for president speaking at the 2020 convention? I doubt it. I don't remember seeing Bill de Blasio's name up there. You may have forgotten he ran for president. I don't remember seeing Jay Inslee's name on there, though he could have been. I'm just telling you the ones I don't remember. I don't remember seeing Julian Castro's name on there, although he may be on there by this point. Maybe it's changed. Maybe I skipped over it. But I remember seeing Cory Booker. I remember seeing Pete Buttigieg. I remember seeing Amy Klobuchar. And so they're trying to avoid this. They've tried to avoid this problem, but yet it doesn't seem like they're 100% there yet. In fact, there's a possibility there's going to be a rift between the Democrats, between the radical leftist Democrats and the establishment Democrats. So they're trying to coalesce around this idea that they hate Trump. They're trying to coalesce around this idea, this concept, this movement, this notion that Trump is, of course, the enemy. And that's why you see the campaign shape up like this. They know that Biden in and of himself is not going to get, he's not going to motivate people. He's not going to be the draw. And so they have to amp up hatred for Trump. That's what they do. In fact, I saw again a poll over the weekend that said the main reason people are supporting Biden, 56% said because Biden isn't Trump. And so that's the other reason why this is going to get nasty and ugly. So this is the beginning of when the Democrats are going to supposedly here coalesce around their candidate, pick a candidate, go through the pomp and ceremony and all this stuff here this week. We'll be treated to some crazy stuff here over the next 5 days, listening to some of the radical stuff on stage. But this is their putting their best foot forward. Remember that as we watch this thing unfold, as they bring up this cast of characters with radical ideas to the stage. Remember that. This is them presenting themselves. This is the sales pitch. This is the time that they're going to rally the troops and cheer and clap. And this is the pinnacle. From here, the attacks will come. Trump will go after them. Other Republicans will talk about ideas and things that have been said and begin to chip away at the arguments of the left. And this is the high point. I think this is the high point for the Democrat Party. I do. The question is whether or not they can hold off Trump. Once they put Biden out there long enough? Can they keep enough people from seeing just how bad of a candidate he is? Can they make it about something other? Can they make it about anything besides Biden? Because if it's about Biden, people are going to have to make a decision based upon what they see from Biden, what they see from him in these debates. This is why they want votes that are going to be cast before the debates. Do you know in some states you'll actually be able to cast votes because of early voting before the first debate? They would love that. They would love for this whole thing to go off without any debate, without any appearance from Biden, without any question and answers, Q&A session that's been run by Biden. They would love nothing more than that. But they're going to be forced here to deal with the reality that is not a long-term possibility. Though it is amazing that we've gotten into mid-August without having to deal with that. So I want to talk about the election next. I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about Fauci. I want to talk about what he said about voting in person. I want to talk about the post office. And I also want to talk about how the death of Trump's brother has become another example of just how pitiful and pathetic many on the left are when it comes to the issue of decency, morality, and just a little bit of empathy and respect. As the hashtag #WrongTrump trended over the weekend, people actively saying that they wished President Trump would have been the Trump brother who passed away. Just reprehensible stuff. Just from the side that constantly preaches to us about how much morally superior they are to the rest of us. This is what they find to be appropriate. So we'll talk about those things in the second half of the program. Taking a quick break here. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Like what you hear on Todd's show? Why not get more by signing up for Todd's free Semi-Sweet Morsels of Truth newsletter? To subscribe, visit toddhuffshow.com/subscribe or text HUFF to 31996.
Healthcare is expensive and complicated. Did you know that as a Christian business owner, it is possible to provide access to affordable health benefits for your employees? Remodel Health has helped employers across the United States save over $22 million in the past 3 years. Our innovative approach allows your employees to have the health benefits they need at a cost you can afford. Go to remodelhealth.com/Todd to help your employees find the healthcare they deserve. Remodel Health. Rethink employee health benefits.
Our sense of smell stimulates memory and emotion. A scent can seemingly transport us to another place in time. Homemade, hand-poured candles and melts from spur-of-the-moment creations will give your nose the experience the rest of your body is missing during any season of the year. Crackling firewood, fresh-cut grass, Macintosh apple, and even racing fuel are some of their over 200 engaging fragrances. Visit spurofthemomentcreations.com and enter coupon code TODD at checkout to receive 15% off your order today.
We all know having health insurance doesn't always equal health care. That's why at Freedom HealthWorks, we believe the key to maintaining good health is based on a straightforward, personal relationship with your physician. With our direct doctor-patient relationship model, we remove your healthcare middleman and replace him with transparent pricing and incentive to call your doctor at the first sign of illness. So if you're ready to experience real care from a doctor that really cares about you, go to freedomhealthworks.com and learn more about the benefits of our direct primary care model. Freedom HealthWorks. Be treated better.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200 down, $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freege, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freige, Freije, auctioneers.com. Visit FreigeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freige, owner and lead auctioneer at Freige Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
Are you one of the growing number of Hoosiers who are concerned about higher taxes, increased spending, and massive debt? So am I. I'm Donald Rainwater, the Libertarian candidate for governor of the state of Indiana. I believe that all Hoosier businesses provide the necessities of life to their owners and employees, and that all Hoosiers are essential. As your governor, I will safeguard your rights to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness as defined by you, not the government. To learn more, go to rainwaterforindiana.com. We need better government, not bigger government. My name's Donald Rainwater, and I approve this message. Paid for by Rainwater for Indiana.
Our word can't be diluted because we are taught that a promise is a commitment in which you always follow through. No ifs, ands, or buts. So every time you walk through Greg Hubler Chevrolet doors, you can count on the advice and expertise we provide you. Because when we make a promise, we keep it. Greg Hubler Chevrolet. Promise kept. Visit GregHublerChevy.com. Find new roads.
Welcome back. So late last week, I think it may have even been on Friday, Dr. Fauci came out and said that there is no reason that in-person voting shouldn't be safe this November. No reason. Looking here at Business Insider, the takeaways, the bullet points in their article says that Dr. Fauci, the top U.S. coronavirus expert, I'm just reading what it says. I'm not commenting as to whether or not that is accurate. I hope, well, based upon the inconsistencies we've seen over the course of this thing, I hope that that's not entirely accurate. But nonetheless, said this week, Dr. Fauci said this week, he believed in-person November, this is not written correctly, he believed in-person in November, they left out the word voting. In-person voting in November would be safe so long as masks were worn. I don't know word on the goggles. No word if we need goggles yet, but as long as masks were worn and social distancing measures were followed. For compromised individuals at a higher risk for coronavirus infection, Fauci said people should vote by mail. And a pause. There's always been a mechanism. I think all 50 states plus the District of Columbia has always had at their arsenal the opportunity for absentee ballots. We cannot be confused on the difference between mass vote by mail campaigns and what I want to move into here. This is we're moving in to discuss this whole post office stuff and the conspiracy theories about Trump and that, and the post office problems Trump's trying to make. The argument goes Trump's trying to make the post office suffer intentionally so as to prevent them from being able to do mass voting by mail. Now, they won't say that. They'll call it vote by mail, which they'll say we've been able to do forever. Why is Trump against this? Trump is not against absentee ballots, folks. What Trump is against is printing ballots, dropping them into the mail stream for everybody on the record who is registered to vote. Or, of course, I'm sure there's some Democrat that's going to want these to go to people who are not registered to vote. I'm sure that that's considered the right thing to do by the radical left. So Trump opposes that, which, by the way, for legitimate reasons, even though they'll tell you fact checkers galore, I'm sure there's some fact checker out there that'll say, wait a minute. We have done research, and actually, the more ballots we put out into the voting, into the mail stream, the better. The less likely there is for fraud. In fact, if we just drop them from an airplane over large cities, studies have shown that there would be zero voter fraud. I'm sure there's some think tank out there, some leftist group, some group of professors at Harvard University or Yale that are prepared to make such a ludicrous statement. This is how this works every time. And then, people in middle America, people who have sense, even on the left and right coasts in this country, they sit there and think, well, maybe there's something I don't know. No, there's not. There's not something that you don't know. You understand human nature. You understand that if you have a bunch of ballots floating around, that some of those ballots will be grabbed by people who aren't supposed to vote, or maybe who can vote but have already cast multiple ballots. There will be so many fraudulent it's just asking. It's asking for trouble. It's kind of like saying, if you want to start a new armored car company, you want to go pick up money from places like banks and businesses and so forth. But you say, you know what, we want to give this new version. We want to give this new version of money transport, this money transport industry. We want to put a new spin on it. We're going to pick it up on bicycles. We're not going to have an armored car that locks, that has thick walls that people can't penetrate, that's got multiple people inside the cab to protect the money, to make sure that it gets safely to its destination. No, instead, we're going to show up on bicycles, little basket on the front, walk in there. We're going to have you write in big, bold letters how much money, how much cash is in the bag we're picking up, and we're going to put that in our basket. And we're going to drive down the street and we're going to just yell out how much money's in the bag in our basket of our bicycle. And then people are surprised. I'm sure some scientist, some study can be conducted that says that is actually safer. That's better for society because it shows society that we trust them. It shows society that we trust them. And somebody hears this and they think, well, I don't know. I just live in my neighborhood. Maybe these problems are being exaggerated on how people would want to try to find ways to take the money. I always thought people tried to, not everybody, but I thought that there were certainly people who tried to look for holes and ways to steal money. So maybe I'm wrong. But the truth is, you're exactly right in your first instinct, because that is just plumb foolishness. And that's kind of what we're doing here with this mass ballot stuff. Fauci says it's safe. What's the problem with going to vote? If you're worried about going to vote, then go request a absentee ballot. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to do. I've done that again. I've shared. I can't remember why I did that. Kind of bothers me, but I remember voting by mail. Absentee, not by mass mail, where the postcard came and I just checked a few boxes or whatever and sent it back. That's not how that works, and that's not how that should work. The idea that that's susceptible to fraud is not susceptible to fraud, is just not being very intellectually honest whatsoever. Of course it's open to fraud. Of course it's susceptible to fraud. Why all voting is to some degree susceptible to fraud. You want to minimize the opportunities for someone to cast ballots that shouldn't be cast. Truth be told, early voting makes it harder to prevent against fraud than single-day voting does. It doesn't mean that you can't still find a way to do it safely, but every day that you're open to take votes, you're more susceptible. Every ballot that you send out in the mail but to someone who didn't request it, you become more susceptible. Why is that? That shouldn't even be something that we're debating. The question should be, how susceptible is it? Instead, they want to double and triple and quadruple down on this notion that there's no problem whatsoever. So Fauci says it's okay to vote in person. You can get an absentee ballot if you're worried about voting, so you don't in person, so you don't have to go to vote. You can get your absentee ballot and be okay. You can go and vote, and you can stay socially distanced and wear a mask. That's not good enough. You can get your absentee ballot. Still failing to understand why everyone needs a ballot mailed to them, especially when you factor in how much more you're opened up to risk. It's almost as though the people who are promoting this have never operated a business or assessed risk whatsoever. Of course there's more risk with this to just mail ballots. That's just plumb stupid to suggest that it's not. So, Fauci says it's okay. Basically, Fauci didn't say this. He's not going to say this, but he's basically saying there's no need for mass mailing, mass vote by mail. You can safely vote in person because of masks and social distancing. And if you're susceptible based on your health or your age or if you fall into a high risk category, then you can vote by absentee ballot, which that has existed. Nothing new needs to be done about that. And so we're going to set up this conversation to briefly talk about the post office, which we'll do when we get back. Also, I guess I'm just going to be able to briefly touch on the insane people that are wishing that instead of President Trump's brother being the Trump who died, people wishing that it would have been President Trump himself. So those two things I want to hit before the end of the program today. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Listen to Todd's show on your way to work, but want to hear more? Don't miss a beat. Visit toddhuffshow.com/listen to catch the program anytime, anywhere.
Geothermal tax credits are back, making this the perfect time to install a new Climate Master geothermal system. Take advantage of this limited time 26% tax credit and begin cutting your heating and cooling bills immediately. Visit indianageothermal.com/info to get your free Climate Master information kit or call 317-829-1490. Visit indianageothermal.com/info or call 317-829-1490. Geothermal, it's cheaper than you think.
I love my community, and I wanted to do more to make a difference with my hard-earned dollars. I wanted to make an impact and help shape our future and our county. So I gave money to the Community Foundation of Morgan County. More than just charitable giving, the money I donate is tracked and measured so every dollar is held accountable. It's a social return on your investment. Why don't you join me in donating at cfmconline.org? That's cfmconline.org. Philanthropy with measurable impact.
Hi, my name is John Swadner, Sales Director of the Todd Huff Show. As a listener of the program, you know the show is growing. 4 years ago, it began as a podcast in a closet. Today, it's a 2-hour show that airs during morning drive in Indy and in Utah, and we're just scratching the surface. Todd brought me on board to help the show and our advertisers grow. That's why I'm specifically looking for partners who are a good fit to advertise with us. Would that be you? To learn more about what advertising would look like and to determine if it's a good fit for your business, shoot me an email to john@toddhuffshow.com. And be sure to ask me about some of our special packages that will save you up to 40%. Email john@toddhuffshow.com. Shoot me an email today.
Wallace Construction is a family-owned business with 45 years' experience in asphalt, concrete, and seal coating. At Wallace Construction, our wide variety of experience and top-notch customer service have helped us build a strong reputation in central Indiana. But we don't rest on that reputation. We build it, one job at a time. If you have an upcoming project, call us at 317-422-5356. That's Wallace Construction, 317-422-5356, and ask for Richard or Roger.
Indy Decorative Concrete is hiring immediately. They're looking for workers with experience finishing concrete. Pay is $25 to $30 per hour with weekly overtime. All jobs are located within the city of Indianapolis. Call 317-784-1464 or apply in person at their offices located at 8366 Brookville Road, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46239. They're open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, visit their website, www.indydecorativeconcrete.com. www.indydecorativeconcrete.com.
When life is hard for the women you care about, there is help with issues such as widowhood, anxiety, depression, or abuse. They don't have to go through it alone. Peace Restored is there to walk with women through the journey. Peace Restored helps women through free mentoring, counseling, and education. When life is hard, Peace Restored is there to help women you care about find hope and healing. To learn more, visit peacerestored.net.
All right, welcome back. So the story goes that President Trump doesn't want mail-in ballots because, of course, mass mail-in ballots. We're not talking about absentee ballots. We're talking about just ballots floating around out there for anyone to grab and use that wants to use them. The only reason you can be against those, I guess, I mean, this is the world we live in. The only reason you could be against those is because you're trying to suppress the vote. In fact, I think I saw a tweet from Obama, and in fact, it may be in this particular story I'm referencing, but I think he tweeted out something that said Trump should worry less about suppressing the vote and more about suppressing the virus or some such thing, which is supposed to be witty and all that sort of stuff. So Joe Biden, this is in the Federalist, Joe Biden and Taylor Swift embrace bizarre U.S. Postal Service conspiracies. And so you'll see pictures of people moving post office boxes. In fact, this one's had graffiti placed on it. So they come out, they remove it from the ground, they unbolt it from the ground, put it in a truck, take it in, and then they replace it. In fact, that's what the post office says that they do. In fact, Postal Service spokesperson Steve Doherty told Boston.com, this is according to the Federalist, that removing the boxes is standard procedure when they become rusted, require paint, get vandalized, or simply need replaced. These trucks are on the street daily. They're part of our maintenance fleet. And so some people see post office boxes being put onto the backs of trucks and they say, aha, President Trump is trying to undermine our post office and its ability to deliver ballots, so that when he says we're not ready to do, mass vote by mail, he can point to circumstances that he's created. He's created these circumstances. These are not real circumstances. These are fabricated. And so people take pictures of post office boxes on trucks. Of course, they've got graffiti on them. Of course, they probably have graffiti on them because they've been subjected to a Antifa peaceful protest or maybe a peaceful Black Lives Matter rally, and they got graffiti on it. It's got to be painted. In fact, they might train. The trained Marxists running Black Lives Matter may train their followers, the members of the movement. They may train them to tag these post office boxes on the street so that they know that they'll get removed. And now there can be pictures taken showing that Trump's removing these post office boxes to keep people from voting in these communities. Here's Obama's tweet. Everyone depends on the USPS. Seniors for their Social Security, veterans for their prescriptions, small businesses trying to keep their doors open. I tell you what, the idea that the post office keeps my doors open is a crazy sort of thing. I'm not saying that the mail is not helpful at times, but the idea that there's no other solution in many instances is just, in most instances, is crazy talk. They can't be collateral damage, he writes, for an administration more concerned with suppressing the vote than suppressing a virus. Taylor Swift, her tweet is this: Trump's calculated dismantling of the USPS proves one thing clearly. He is well aware that we do not want him as our president. He's chosen to blatantly cheat and put millions of Americans' lives at risk in an effort to hold on to power. Trying to collude this time with the post office. President Trump. Remember back in 2016 when Trump said the election was rigged, Hillary said, we can't have this. We can't have people saying these things. Undermine confidence in the U.S. system. Can't have this. Of course, since then we've had 4+ years of incessant focus on Russian collusion and all this sort of stuff. Russia. Gotta take a break. Come back and briefly talk about President Trump's brother, his tragic passing, and the reprehensible response that we've seen to this by many on the left. Be back in just a minute.
Is it possible to be a fan of the show if you don't have the gear to prove it? Why not be safe and remove all doubt? Shop for official merchandise at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
Our partner, Global Plasma Solutions, has published ionization testing results that demonstrate a 99.4% reduction rate on a SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 surface drain within 30 minutes. This is the first instance that an air purification company has effectively neutralized SARS-CoV-2. Commercial Service Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is installing this solution in businesses and homes in South Central Indiana. Get your free information kit at commercialservice.com/info. Commercial Service, commercial grade service for your home.
Anxiety, depression, relationship problems, past trauma. Problems rarely get better when given time. Care to Change Counseling can help. Our professionals combined evidence-based care models with scripture to get you on the path to a productive life. We are here to help you make the changes you need for a healthier, happier you. Take that brave step today. Call Care to Change at 317-790-9396 or visit caretochange.org.
Ever ask yourself, what does my business insurance actually cover? Well, at AIA and Avon, we think you deserve to know. AIA is focused on earning your trust. We found that when we educate our clients and truly listen to them, they allow us to work alongside them to put together the insurance plan they need. Whether your business is big or small, give AIA a call, 317-718-1747, or find out what we can do for you at AIA4lowrates.com. Advertisement sponsored by Grange Insurance.
Hey Indianapolis, by now you've probably heard about Jody Dowdle with Midwest Tax Group. Jody and his team are experts at helping you prepare your personal or small business tax returns. You can count on Midwest Tax Group to get every deduction possible and work for your higher refund. And not just on this year's taxes, they'll check your prior returns for any tax savings you may have missed for free. Are you behind on filing your returns? They can file past due returns and help negotiate with the IRS too. They complete most tax returns within a week and charge an affordable flat fee, no hourly billing. And as their client, you can consult with the team at Midwest Tax Group year-round at no charge. Midwest Tax Group has 4 office locations in Castleton, Greenwood, Plainfield, and Greenfield, with evening and weekend appointments available. Schedule your appointment today at 317-288-5260. That's 317-288-5260. Or visit their website at mwtaxgroup.com. Midwest Tax Group can help you more than any piece of software ever could.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
The compassion of Christ compels us to stop what we're doing and seek that person out. I think as Jesus went in that famous song I sang as a little kid was Zacchaeus, come down. Zacchaeus was in a tree and he wanted to engage with Jesus, but he just couldn't, and Jesus stopped and he went over to him. If we are going to live a life of compassion, the compassion of Christ, are we willing to stop and seek those who need a touch of compassion today?
All right, really quickly, unfortunately, and tragically, President Trump's younger brother, Robert Trump, passed away over the weekend, and it wasn't disclosed exactly what the cause was, although there was speculation by some that he passed away from, I don't know if it was speculation or hope that he passed away from COVID. In fact, there's been tweets. Here's one. Look, I know it's not politically correct to say this, but it's really sad. Donald Trump's brother died from the pandemic. COVID took the wrong Trump. There's one example of the loving anti-fascist left. How about this from a pastor? This one offends me as a Christian. This one does offend me as a Christian. This guy needs to go back to his Bible and look at the gospel. Bishop Talbert Swan. Lord, I know you don't make mistakes, but are you sure that was the right brother? I've since looked at his Twitter feed. He's posted other reprehensible things that people said about Obama during Obama's term as president, saying, oh, where was the outrage here? As though he's justifying his reprehensible tweet based upon another. I've got to go. STGC tomorrow. Take care.
Seems like just yesterday that you couldn't find a quiet place to think